Today we're looking at notes H-2 and notes H-3, piecewise applications day 1 and day 2. So for problems 1 and 2, do the following. Draw a graph for distance traveled versus time, write a piecewise function for the situation, and draw a speed graph, and write a piecewise function for the speed graph in part C. So number 1, having left home in a hurry, you traveled 2 miles in 5 minutes before realizing that you didn't turn the stove off. So you head back to your house and you're able to get there in 3 minutes. After losing a couple of minutes at the house, you get back on the road. It takes you 10 minutes to get to the store 6 miles away. So the first thing we're going to do is make a plan. That first sentence said, you left home in a hurry, you traveled 2 miles, so this is our miles, in 5 minutes before realizing that you didn't turn the stove off. So you head back to your house. So you go back 2 miles. Okay, we lose our distance traveled, so -2, and it takes us 3 minutes to get back to the house. After losing a couple of minutes at the house, so a couple of minutes means 2. So for 2 minutes, you're steady at the house, so you go 0 miles. All right, you get back on the road. It takes you 10 more minutes to get to the store that's 6 miles away. So if we look at distance, how far out we go, not total distance traveled, but how far out we went, it was 6 miles. 2 minus 2 plus 0 plus 6 would be 6. And then total minutes are 20. Now you can set up your graph. So I've gone ahead and done that. I've started that, so not to lose too much time. So we have minutes and miles. Miles depends on the minutes. Okay, and I took these kind of coordinates almost here. So we know that our first scenario describes that we go 2 miles in 5 minutes. So I've counted by 2's here on the bottom, so I put the little half tick for the 5. So we went 2 miles in 5 minutes. That's our first point. And then we lose those 2 miles, so we go back home. We go back to distance of 0. Okay, we lose those 2 miles, and it takes us 3 minutes. So if I've got 5, I get to 8. That's 3 minutes. And then I stay at home for 2 minutes, so from 8 to 10, I stay at home. Okay, and then I drive 6 miles to the store, so that's 6, from 0 to 6, and it takes me 10 minutes to do that. So from here, to count 10 minutes would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way to 20. Okay, so that's my graph, and I still need to label some things before I do my equations here. So for my first equation, I need to find my slope of each little segment here. So I go up to right 5. So my slope for this first segment is 2/5. Here for the second segment, I go down to right 3. So that'd be a -2/3 for this segment here. This segment, obviously, my slope is 0. And then last but not least, this segment here, I go up 6, right 10. So 6 over 10, which would simplify to 3 over 5. Okay. My last coordinate here is the coordinate 20, 6. It's really the only one I need, other than this one here too. Okay, so here, my first equation, I have the slope and I have the y-intercept, so I'm going to use slope-intercept form. So it would be 2/5 t. I don't need the plus 0. And that goes from 0 to 5. T from 0 to 5. And then my second segment here has a slope of -2/3. Okay, and I have to use point slope form here for this one. Because I don't know the y-intercept. So I have the slope, and I will go ahead and use the point 5, 2, this one here, for this segment. So it'd be t minus 5 plus 2. And that segment goes from 5 to 8. And then this little segment here has a slope of 0. Okay, it cuts through the y-axis at 0, so we would just say d of t equals 0 for this, and that goes from 8 to 10. And then this last segment here has a slope of 3/5, And the point we'll use is this last point here, since we have to use point slope form. So t minus 20 plus 6. And that segment goes from 10 to 20 time 10 to 20. So again, remember, your absolute value of your slopes helps you with your speed. So this would be 2/5. This would be 2/3. This would be 0, and this would be 3/5. Okay, so because you have different denominators, in my opinion, it would be much easier to convert these to decimals. So you know that 1/5 hopefully is 0.2. So 2/5 would be 0.4. 2/3 would be 0.6 repeating. 0 is 0, and 3/5 then would be 0.6 exactly. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've labeled my speed in minutes. Remember, this should count the same as this guy. So my speed, I've done 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, etc. And I know my intervals are going to be the same, except my or equal to's will only be at the end points. So then I'm going to go ahead and draw my graph. So from 0 to 5, right there, I have a speed of 0.4. So here to about here, I have a speed of 0.4. And then from 5 to 8, I have a speed of 0.6 repeating. So that's 0.66666. So it's like a little bit in between here and here. So from 5 to 8, and then I have a speed of 0 from 8 to 10, and then a speed of 0.6 from 10 to 20. 0.6 from 10 to 20. And that last circle needs to be filled in. So there's my speed. Okay, let's look at another example. So here, number 2, suppose you are driving to a volleyball game in Carrollton, 25 miles away. Due to all the construction, it takes you 30 minutes to go the first 12 miles of your journey to where Airport Freeway meets the turnpike. You get on the turnpike where traffic flows much faster and finish the remainder of the trip in just 12 minutes. So for our first sentence here, this is important. Your volleyball game is 25 miles away. Due to construction, it takes you 30 minutes to go the first 12 miles. Okay, then you get on the turnpike where traffic flows much faster. You finish the remainder of your trip. Remember, the trip was 25 miles away. You already traveled 12, so you have 13 more miles to go, and it takes you 12 minutes. So here's your totals, 25 miles over 42 minutes. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've labeled the minutes go by 6s to 42, and the miles count by 5 to 25. Okay, so for our first point, we go 30 miles, it takes us 30 minutes, to go 12 miles. So about here, and this coordinate is 30, 12. Takes us 30 minutes to get 12 miles. That's our first coordinate. So our slope for this first section here would be, we're going up 12, right 30. So this would be 12 over 30, which can simplify to 2/5. So that's our slope for our first section here. And then it tells us that we travel 13 more miles in 12 minutes. So when we get 12 more minutes, we go 13 more miles. So we are going to go from 30 to 42. Okay, so 12 more minutes, and we're going to travel 13 more miles. So if you add 13 to how many miles you've already traveled, that would be 25 total miles. So we're talking 42, 25. Draw this line here. So again, let's refresh this. So I want to kind of draw in what we traveled versus time. This will help us on our next one. So here, again, remember, we traveled 13 more miles over 12 more minutes. So to go 12 more minutes, we were at 30, we added 12, so that would be 42. Okay, and we were at a distance of 12 and we added 13, so that would be 25. That helps us, seeing this helps us label the next point. Okay, that also helps us with our slope. So our slope of this segment here is we're going up 13, right, 12. So 13 over 12, that's our slope. Oops, I didn't close off that point. Okay, so let's write our equations here. So our first segment, the slope is 2/5, and our y-intercept is 0, so no reason to write plus 0, and that goes from 0 to 30. And then our second segment here has a slope of 13/12, and we need to write this one in point slope form, so t minus 42 plus 25, and that goes from 30 to 42. Okay. And then for our speed graph, our slopes would be 2/5 and 13 over 12. 2/5 would be 0.4. and 13/12 is 1.08. Okay, this goes from 0 to 30, and this goes from 30 to 42. Remember, or equal to only on the endpoints. So our speed is 0.4 from 0 to 30. I've labeled my graphs already. 0.4 from 0 to 30, and then 1.08, so about here from 30 to 42. And there's your speed graph. Okay, last problem. So this is our H-3. This one does get more complicated. I've filled in less pieces, that way we can talk about a little bit more. So this is H-3. Janie purchased stock in Walmart for $46. Within 15 minutes, it had dropped to $39. It continued to lose value at the same rate for 30 more minutes, at which time it bottomed out. It then rebounded and began to rise steadily at $6 per minute. When the stock reached $55, she sold it. Write a piecewise function f of t for the stock's value in terms of time t. So you'll notice I'm not asking for that speed graph. I'm only asking for the equation. So you need to make a plan. The graph is not graded, but it is necessary. You will need it to see to help you write the equation. So this isn't graded, but it is necessary. So I have labeled a few things. So this is the money of the stock. The value of the stock depends on the minute. So I haven't labeled like any units or anything like that because we're gonna go by what it says here, and we don't want to overcomplicate things. So Janie purchased stock for $46. That's where it starts. The time is 0, the cost is 46. Within 15 minutes, it had dropped to 39. So we went 15 minutes passed, and we dropped 7. Because from 46 to 39, you lose $7. Okay, so in 15 minutes, you're at a value of 39. So time value. Okay, then it continued to lose value at the same rate for 30 more minutes. So you're going to go at the same rate. Write 15 down 7 for 30 more minutes. So write 15 down 7. Write 15 down 7. If you go write 15 twice, 30 minutes have passed by, and from 15 minutes, if 30 minutes have passed by, you're at 45 minutes, and what's your value? So you have to use this to help. So you went 15 down 7, 15 down 7. So you took away a total of 14. So if you have value of 39 and you take away 14, what is that value? That value is $25. Okay, so you filled out that. It then rebounded and began to rise steadily at $6 per minute. So we're rising at a slope of $6 per minute. We're gaining $6 per every minute that passes, so that's a slope of 6 until the stock reached $55. So we don't know the time, but we know the value of the stock is $55. Okay, we don't know how long went by, but we know the value is $55. Okay, we can find the time by thinking about what happened here. So from this point here at 45 minutes and $25 to this point here where we gained to 55, that's adding $30. We added $30 in value. From 25 to 55, we added $30. So if we're gaining $6 per minute, how many minutes went by? So take 30 divided by 6, and you'd get 5 minutes. Okay, so 5 minutes went by if I'm gaining $6 per minute. So that means that this time here from 45 to this value would be 50 minutes, because every minute we're gaining $6. From here to here we gain 30, so 5 minutes must have passed. So to get from 45, it would be 50 here. So here's my points. Now let's write my equation. So this whole piece right here has the same slope. So we use this as a piece. We don't cut it in pieces of 2 here. We use it as a whole piece. So this one goes from 0 to 45 because it has the same slope. Okay, so you use that. Our slope here was, we went down 7, right 15. So our slope was -7/15 t, plus our y-intercept was 46 from 0 to 45, and then from 45 to 50, our equation, we had a slope of 6. I always forget to do the little parentheses. 6 parentheses t, we'll use this point here, minus 50 plus 55.